Welcome to episode 2 of Step by Step, which is brought to you by our friends at Endear. Today, I sit down with Hseuh of Akira. He believes that the use of technology and powerful, robust customer data is what empowers these moments of a micro win for the associate and the customer. If you bring together all of these micro wins, they translate and carry through to the highest level of the business. So if you're thinking about how investing in in-store service, associate empowerment, and even CRM or clienteling can connect to a much bigger mission and vision for your brand, this conversation with Eric will definitely help answer quite a few questions. We all know omnichannel is the new reality of retail. So for this series, we're sitting down with folks who are living and breathing this convergence. And by that, I mean they're bringing the best of digital technology, data, digital enablement into their in-store experiences and really helping perhaps the most important aspect of their brand, their people, really shine. And for today's episode, I have Eric Hseuh joining me. He is a co-owner of Akira. Eric, thanks so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thanks for having me here. Glad to be here.
So we have quite a bit to get into, but before we get into like the nuts and bolts of the Akira experience, why don't we start by talking a little bit about the brand at a high level, at a more strategic level. Of course, as co-owner, you probably know the brand better than anybody else out there. So why don't you share a little bit about what you think sets Akira apart from similar brands as we think about like the fashion landscape? Like what really makes the brand shine?
Yeah. So Akira, 23 years old company. So I think we've been around long enough to kind of do a lot of things, but not that long either. We're based in Chicago, high fashion, hip and trendy clothing. I think when you boil it down, I think the things that probably set us apart is I think we understand ourselves a little bit more. There's a lot of continuity in our leadership. And I think there's always been this kind of combination of focus and self-doubt. And with that, I mean, we know who our customer is and we always focus on that. At the same time, over the years, you wonder, well, should we change? And so I think we changed here and there, but I think we've always stayed to our true north. And so I think really knowing who your customer is and really paying attention to the little details, like they say it's retail, so retail is detail, and having the continuity of leadership and being around long enough to kind of know what you're doing a little bit has really helped. And really focusing on the brand and the customer, I think has over time, and it takes time, some companies come and go. And I think that's what set us apart is that time and the commitment and the focus.
Oh, that's great. And especially in an industry like fashion, there are always trend cycles, and those trend cycles seem to be accelerating, especially because of how we're getting inspiration, how we're learning about brands, how we're learning to express ourselves through dress. So you mentioned understanding your customer quite a few times in your last response. So tell us, how would you define the Akira customer, and ultimately, what does she expect from the brand experience today?
Our customer, 100% she, and certainly he, probably in their 20s or 30s, very mainstream. They like to go out. They have to go out. They have to look good. They're very social. And these aren't necessarily wants. These are needs. They expect everything. Certainly they expect the service. And they certainly, fashion is competitive. You're out there to express yourself and differentiate yourself. And everybody wants to look good. They need to look good. And they really depend on us and rely on us to make that happen for them. And that's our responsibility. And we take it seriously. We embrace it. And underneath it, you're just having a lot of fun and you bring a lot of passion. And I think it's really the combination of our stylists, our product with the customer. And without that, it just doesn't work. And so I think it's art, it's fun, and it's joy. And that's the beauty of fashion. And so I think our customers, they expect everything, the best product, the best trends, quality, value, and the service. And I think we embrace that.
And since service is such a core component of the brand, obviously the in-store experience is a very big opportunity. And you have about 40 stores right now. Is that right?
Yep. 40 stores across 18 or 19 states, if you count Washington, D.C. as a state, maybe. So growing, a lot on the east of the Mississippi and starting in Chicago. And so, yeah, we are very distributed. And I think we're touching more people as we go.
Oh, it's amazing. So to that end, I would love for you to share how you see the physical service experience that you were mentioning earlier, really coexisting with all of the other digital channels that fashion brands in particular know they have to be present on. And I guess more specifically, what is the distinct value that each play in driving this customer life cycle or this customer relationship from awareness to conversion to, of course, the end goal, which is long-term loyalty? Like, what are the key value drivers for the store versus online for the brand?
Yeah, I think the one thing that really sets Akira apart is our customers, which we call clients. They don't want to shop by themselves. And, it's something that we've thought about for a very long time. Or maybe they do want to shop by themselves, and maybe we don't want them to. We want to help them. We want to get to know them. And, for the longest time, you have that doubt, all the big boys back in the day, Gap, Urban Outfitters, the usual suspects, it's very self-shop. You go to a Home Depot, hey, where's this? Okay, fine. Or you go to Costco, it's a very kind of minimizing the labor cost sort of operation. But for us, we really started in the streets of Chicago. We started boutique roots, brick and mortar. That's our blood. That's our DNA. My partners, Erica, Sarah, and I, we started there on the sales floor. We put in our 10,000, 20,000 hours of really helping clients, delighting customers. And, clients, they walk in all forms, sizes, shapes. They might really come in wanting help. They might come in being a little reticent or shy. But it's like somebody walking in your house. It's a guest. This is our home. And so when somebody comes in your house, you're welcoming them, you're receiving them. Hello, how are you? It's so nice to meet you. What brings you in today? That's us. We cannot resist that. That was on day one in 2002. And, when you're authentic and genuine, and when I mean that, it's not, oh, are you looking for anything particular today? Can I help you find anything? That's like for us, like nails on a chalkboard. It's so formulaic, and we spend a lot of time and energy to combat that, which is natural tendency for clerks and things like that. And so I think really developing the personal one-on-one relationship, it's such a core part of someone's lifestyle that we embrace it. And pound for pound, I'll put our people against anybody in the world. It doesn't matter if it's luxury, it doesn't matter if it's anything else. I think through the whole process, we have by far the best stylists anywhere.
So to that end, I mean, when you're hiring or looking for a new manager, even a new store associate, are there any key attributes or traits, like right off the bat, like, oh, this person is like a good fit for us, or like, oh, this person would serve our clients so well? Is there anything that really comes to mind for you? I mean, you mentioned authenticity quite a bit in your last response, but like, how does that, I guess, show up in like the interview process?
That's a really good question. So much, at first you're looking for, probably somebody that's comfortable in their own skin. Certainly the energy, the kind of, are they a people person? Are they not? Because, it's not for everybody. If you're introverted, you can be an amazing salesperson. As long as you really, really, I think the key is, do you care about other people? Does other people's happiness make you happy? And if it does, you can be very, very, very successful at Akira. But, it's kind of like dating. You see somebody, you talk to somebody, you go on a date. You don't really know until they come in and you're actually spending time with a person after they're hired. Their true colors really come out. And, one of my heroes, Warren Buffett, says, I only like to work with people I like, trust, and admire, with energy, intelligence, and integrity. And so that last one, integrity, is first and foremost. You have to have the right character, honesty underneath it all, no matter what. Like they say, good contracts don't work with the bad people. And so I've been pleasantly surprised over the years that so many good people that just care of high moral fiber are out there. And then it's like a garden. You want to give them the water, sunlight, and soil, and reciprocate all their hard work, and they're smart, and they take ownership of the stores and of the business. And when you have that virtuous cycle, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I sit here and all I can think about is how much I love our teams, our people, how hard they work, how much they care about their business, about their stores and their clients and their customers. And when you have that, anything is possible. And it's not about rules. It's not about policies and procedures. It's about love. It's about, do you really care? And do they care back? And when you have that, that's what retail is all about. That's the joy, the passion of retail. I wouldn't rather be doing anything else.
I think integrity is such a great word to really distill all of these different traits, right? Like authenticity, honesty, connection, like it all kind of ladders into this idea of like having true integrity, for the brand, but also for your distinct role that you play within an organization. So it's interesting to hear your perspective on how that is actualized. And like, in my opinion, it's when things get a little chaotic and maybe a little stressful, where like that integrity really shines through. It's like when things get a little more off beyond the norm, I guess you could say, of a typical sales day. So to that end, let's kind of walk through what a typical day does look like for an Akira store, and specifically an Akira, stylist, because your one-to-one personal styling is such a big value driver. I would love to walk through like what a typical scenario looks like, if there is a typical scenario or way of going through that styling process, and maybe even how it's had to evolve a little bit over time, because, we are seeing the emergence of a new cohort of consumers, so to speak. So are there any ways that experience has had to evolve or shift to align with their needs and expectations?
It's weird. I will say, as much as things have changed over the years and even the decades, things also haven't changed. In the end, it's still people selling things to other people, and it's still the human connection that I think stores offer. And kind of like what you're saying in terms of a day to day, it's crazy, it's busy, like it's stressful. The lines could be long, or there's always something happening. I liken it like if you're a one person on the beach and there's waves crashing at you, you're just one person and you don't really have the stability. But then if you're, holding hands with other people and the team on that same beach, those waves are crashing, but you just have a little bit more stability. And so I think when you're leaning on other people, that kind of ability to withstand anything that's coming at you certainly helps. So there's absolutely strength in numbers, because the other thing in retail is it could be lonely as a store manager, as a salesperson, in a multi-unit environment or a single store. There's just a lot of things happening. And so having the peer group of the people that you're working together, it could be in the same store, it could be at a different store, but the like-mindedness and the connectivity, I think that really helps everybody get through the day-to-day and the week-to-week and bring joy to what you do. But in terms of like the other stuff, I would say the thing that comes to my mind is technology. The technology has really changed in so many different ways, whether it's data, whether it's reporting, whether it's the ability to reach your customer, and of course the internet and e-commerce. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, you still walk in the store and you still kind of get the same thing that you got 10 years ago, 15 years ago, which to me is a little bit, surprising, but it's still the same way. Just like there's a lot more technology in cars, but you still got the four tires, you still got the motor, and you're still going forward and backwards. And so, yeah, I think that's the beauty of it. You're enhancing it, you're improving it, but the fundamentals of retail, of delighting your customer, are still the same. And the tactile feel, the 3 dimensions, the colors, the smell, the sound, you can't necessarily get that on your iPhone.
100% agree. And I'm glad you organically brought up that balance of the digital and physical, because even though there are so many great attributes of digital technology, and I want us to get to that in just a second, there are so many things that people have to bring to the table in order for that experience to come full force, so to speak. So to the end, you mentioned things like digital tech, data. I mean, how is this being applied within the four walls of Akira, so to speak? Like how is technology supporting your stylists and really bringing the best of their skills, their roles to life versus, this is not like a replacement conversation, right? This is technology as a way to enhance what your stylists are bringing to the table, right?
Yeah, absolutely. People take it for granted. It's almost like for me, you don't even really think about it, but just the camera on the phone, like before the iPhone came out in 2007. So before, even then, the camera wasn't that good. And so you think before that, like, how do you even, now you take a picture of a denim table as an example, or a video of your mannequin and send it out. It's almost like breathing. You don't really think about the fact your heart's beating or you're breathing, but I remember those days. And so just that little fact has changed, among other things, in terms of real-time data and everything. But as it relates to the stylist, like, if you think back, it used to be just probably the little black book and a phone number. Hey, what's your phone number? I'm going to write your information in my little black book. And then of course the iPhone or what cell phones came along. And so then let me put you, lock you into my cell phone. But when you have that, you have limited information, their purchase history, all their characteristics. It's just not quite at your fingertips. And even the act of writing it in there is a process. And so certainly from the stylist perspective, the bring the information, the connectivity of each and every client to the stylist. And one of the main channels for us is texting. Certainly, you pick up the phone and call, but texting is just so ubiquitous across everywhere in our lives, whether you're a family, like even my parents, I'm sure you get, they're older, but they're in WhatsApp or they're in whatever channels. And so I think doing that, it's so natural, organic, and casual. But the most important thing is that technology is not necessarily for us to do more faster. It is still the one-on-one relationship, the personal connection that we can do more faster. Oh, just send this out to 1,000 people. But like, if you're one of those 1,000, with that text, oh, blah, blah, blah. That's, I'm just somebody else in some marketing database. But when they know me and when they care about me by name, that matters so much to our clients and to me as a consumer, that's what we really hone in on it. And so the organic, natural, casualness. Hey, we just got this in, Eric. I know you like that black dress. We just got this one in, and you're going out to Las Vegas. That is what it's all about. And that, you mentioned earlier what differentiates Akira. That is one of the important things that does.
If you're trying to boost sales and collect customer data, but your store teams are stuck juggling spreadsheets and manual outreach with no real way to track what's working, honestly, you're not alone. That's why there's Endear, the CRM for IRL, equipping store teams like yours with the tools they need to personalize outreach, influence foot traffic, and get real, actionable insights into what's driving revenue, all in one unified hub. No more guesswork, just smarter selling. Endear is powerful clienteling at your fingertips. If you want to learn more, just go to endearhq.com/futurecommerce and try it for free until you drive your first sale. That's endearhq.com/futurecommerce. I recall in an earlier conversation with you, Eric, you brought up the idea that technology can support and create these micro wins that happen at the store level and how it really ladders up to the rest of the business. And I would love for you to expand upon that idea, because I feel like anytime we talk about in-store technology, it's always a ROI conversation. Well, what's the ROI on this? How quickly can we get a return on our investment? How long until this basically pays for itself, right? But what I find we sometimes lose sight of is like those little moments that happen at the store level. Maybe it's not always measurable, but when we look at the big picture and like the long-term view of it, it does lead to those types of results. So like, what does that look like for you personally and the Akira business as a whole, as you think about like the value that this technology plays, like for those micro wins, but all the way up to like the big picture growth objectives or the big picture vision that you're really trying to play out for the business?
I think it's important that you say that, just because it's so easy to lose touch of what is happening on the front lines of any business, and certainly a consumer business or a distributed business or a retail business like ours. it's just so easy for, because we're a larger company now, for the finance people, accounting people to say, hey, the numbers aren't good. Or, it's easy to look at your revenue numbers. Everyone's, hey, what were our sales yesterday? Did we comp? And in retail, comp is everything. Everything's related to LY. But as, people are staring at the scoreboard, I think, like you said, they don't necessarily know what's happening to get the results. And to get the results for the month or the year or the quarter are those micro wins. And it's something so simple as, a client's looking for a pair of jeans and they've tried on every single pair in your store and you're the fifth store they've been at and you're in a mall and, they're feeling a certain way. They might be discouraged or they might be conscious of something. And, they just have this image of what they're trying to do for their outfit. But then at that moment in that micro win, you as a stylist, you don't give up. Your client is there, they have a need and you have to use your brain. You have to use your kind of relentless, obsessive kind of willingness to go the extra mile for your client. Oh, wait, I have this other one in the back that's your size. Let me go get it for you. And you just have to know that. And then boom, they try it on in the dressing room and you see it looks so good on them and they just light up and they're like, this is the one. And it's been 90 minutes in the dressing room. And so 90 minutes later, they're just walking out so happy. And that doesn't show up in that one little transaction on a Wednesday evening. That might not show up in the monthly or whatever. But then with the technology, you can then, when they leave, say, hey, thank you so much. My name's Eric. I helped you with those jeans. I hope they work out when you go see your family this weekend. You're building a brand. It does not happen overnight. That's authenticity. And that is micro wins leading to building a business.
That's great. And not just at the individual level, but across all of those stores, across all of those team members. But the one thing I will note, I've had many conversations with folks, at the executive level, and they always connect their formative moments of like what made me want to stay in retail, right? Because there's always so much conversation around how retail is a quick turn industry and, people are always coming and going out of it. And they point to those customer interactions as like those like glimmers. And they're like, oh, I love what I'm doing. Like, I want to keep doing more of this. So I would argue, you mentioned this technology is in many ways an enabler, an accelerator for customer retention and loyalty. The same could be said on the associate side, right? And that's pretty incredible. I'm a millennial, but like, of course, younger that like just don't want to pick up the phone.
Yeah, exactly.
That text, right?
You're calling me.
Send to voicemail.
That's right.
This has been really insightful, Eric. I guess before we close out, I have a pretty big philosophical question, I guess, to close things out. But first, I would love to learn a little bit more about what's top of mind for you, for Akira more broadly. I mean, we're recording this before the chaos of Q4 and like the holiday season. But as far as like the service experience, your styling services, are there any things that are top of mind for you right now as you think about, the next couple of months, even the next year or so?
Yeah, honestly, the thing that is top of mind for us is just how I feel right now. I'm so excited. Like, I just feel like we put in so much work over the last 2 to 3 years. We kind of been in that cocoon stage and transforming because I think we're going from a small business to like a medium, smallish business. And it's just different. You can't just manage through brute force or through your fingertips or your eyeballs and just your instincts where you could before. And so you really have to build out efficiencies, and technology is such a key driver in that. But then you also have to develop your teams. As you know, in retail, you can't do this and get the result a month later. Sometimes it's a quarter by quarter basis for product, or even a year to see the result. And so we're so excited about our fall, winter assortment, our holiday assortment, our product. We've just gotten so much better in that kind of space of the business. Sex appeal, going out, hip and trendy, and just kind of in a good way shock. It's going to be amazing. And so I think, really starting to gain momentum right now in the summer. And so it's very exciting. And new stores, more e-com, just more content. I mean, it's fashion, baby, and it's just so fun.
And that time of year, especially, so much great opportunity for new customer acquisition, but also getting people to, shop for their friends, their family, their loved ones. And, that's where the clienteling piece really, really comes to the forefront. Throughout this series, we're really talking with folks that are living and breathing retail every day, and they have themselves placed perfectly at this intersection of the art of physical retail and the art of customer service, but also the processing power, so to speak, of emerging technology. And we've had this debate even around the future of brick and mortar. What does it look like? What does it feel like? How is it going to be different? Really outlining what value are stores going to play? How will that change in the future? A lot of discourse, a lot of opinions. I'm curious, do you have a thought or a feeling on what folks are getting wrong about this topic? Any hot takes that you're seeing out there that you're no way, that's not happening, or, oh, no way, that's not true. I'm curious, anything that you think people are getting wrong right now?
I don't think I'm necessarily outside of that pocket. But I will tell you, you have to have a belief in yourself. You have to have a moral compass or a true north. And so I remember not that long ago, maybe they called it the retail apocalypse. You're just reading all this kind of stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, well, we're opening stores. We believe in stores. What am I missing here? And it's so scary. It's so scary to not be in the majority, to be in the minority. And I can tell you that I've never thought to myself that stores is not the future. I believed in stores. I'm not saying I'm right, but for us, and I can't say it's right or wrong for somebody else. And then you kind of look across the landscape, and whether it's now or whether it's any time, retail is bifurcated in the sense that the good retailers are crushing it. They're doing great. And the bad retailers, they're struggling. And I think a lot of it's your value proposition, where you stand in your industry, in your segment, in your niche. I think we are a specialty retailer. We have a niche. And we really, really focus on that niche, and we can't be all things to all people. But then if you think about another company, a great company like a TJ Maxx, they've been around for a long time. They have not changed much at all. And people didn't realize even back then, they quickly went past Macy's, even when Macy's was strong. And it was almost like this iceberg under the water that people don't realize how successful a great retailer like TJ Maxx is. I'm just talking about industries. I'm not saying it's with us. And so I just think really it's knowing your business and staying close to your customer. And for us, it's being in the stores and being aware that it's easy to lose track of that, and just having passion for your business. And I just think when you have that across the culture of any retailer, I think they're going to be tough, and they're going to be competitive, and they're going to really delight their customers. And so that's from my lens. So for us, it's just more of the same, and we're happy to do it. I know where we come from. I don't want to go backwards. I want to go forward. And for us, that is just finding our customer where they're at, meet them where they're at. More stores, more e-com, and more Akira.
Eric Hseuh, co-owner of Akira, thank you so much for taking the time out to chat with me. So many great insights. And it's so great to hear, the perspective of a fast-growing brand that is really holding on to the art of physical retail. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me. It was really enjoyed it.